As you know, for years here on Velshi, we've covered book banning and the ongoing fight against book bans in this nation. And while we hate to see this growing wave of censorship sweep the nation, we love to see people fighting back. In fact, this week, 2 teenagers, a handful of authors, a tiny public library, and the nation's largest publishers filed a lawsuit against the state of Idaho, pushing back against the state's book ban, which went into effect last summer. Last year, Idaho passed HB 710. It's a law that restricts books from both public and school libraries. The law forbids minors, anyone under the age of 18, from accessing books with content that the state has deemed, quote, harmful to minors, end quote. Notably, the law doesn't distinguish between a 17-year-old and a toddler, forcing libraries to hold high school seniors and babies to the same standard of maturity. The ban applies to many bestsellers, classics, and previous Velshi Banned Book Club features like Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-Five, Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye, Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones, Judy Blume's Forever. The ban has an impact on nonfiction books, restricting kids and teens from books about puberty and body changes, which every young person is going to go through. Penguin Random House, one of the plaintiffs in the suit, says the ban affects some history books as well and could restrict minors' access to books about the Holocaust and other major historical events. In fact, no book is safe because under the law, any single person in the community can complain about any single book with whose message they disagree by claiming the book falls within the law's vague definition of harmful. Idaho's law also creates an incentive for individuals to report their local or school libraries for violating that law. Any person who believes they find material harmful to minors may submit written notice to that institution, and if the library fails to remove or restrict that material, legal action can be taken against them. What's happening is that libraries are being forced to take books off the shelves altogether or restrict minors' access by sequestering the books, making cordoned off adult-only sections in a public library. One small library in Idaho had to close its doors altogether. Another was forced to become a fully adults-only library, a library that excludes kids and teens. In Idaho, that requires public and school libraries to remove or restrict materials deemed, quote, harmful to minors. This week, 2 teenagers, a handful of authors, a tiny public library, and some of the nation's largest publishers filed a lawsuit against the state of Idaho. Joining me now is one of those remarkable teenagers, 17-year-old Jarek Edwardson. Jarek, welcome to the Velshi Banned Book Club. I'm guessing right now, but I think you might be the youngest member of it. So thank you. And first of all, congratulations. When I was 17, I was up to virtually no good. You got a lot of stuff to do in your life. A lot of things are going to be more fun and probably a lot of schoolwork. What got you involved in this case?
Yeah, so I got involved because I was reached out to by our school librarian who put me in contact with the team. And we got together and we started talking, and we just talked about how hypocritical this law is. You know, there's no distinction, like you said earlier, about someone my age at 17 and someone who's 6. And so where are we supposed to go with that, you know?
In fact, it's a conversation we have with a lot of our authors where people say, no, little kids shouldn't be reading this book. And the authors, well, great. It's like, yeah, little kids probably shouldn't be reading the book. There is a distinction between a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old. And you want to be able to access the material that's suitable to you. You're like me. You're a journalist. You're the editor-in-chief of your school's newspaper. You've self-published 3 books of poetry. You're a bookworm. So tell me how this feels to you.
You know, I think it's disheartening, in all honesty. I mean, you know, in my role at my school paper, the Bengal Spur, we use books for research, for our articles, for our opinions, our news articles. And as an aspiring author, it's disheartening again, because if someone doesn't agree with what I put in my poetry or any writing of mine, they can go and get it removed. And that loses so much readers, you know?
Let's talk about the most inspiring part about all this. I mean, I hate book bans, but I love that I meet people like you, and that people like you in their communities across this country have figured out ways to take action. So do this for me, for all of our members out there who are watching, who really worry about these book bans. What do you want people to do about them in their communities?
I think the most important thing is to speak out about it. I mean, if we're not talking about how hypocritical and how unjust these laws are, and it doesn't spread, the information doesn't spread, we're not going to be able to fight against it. Because the main part of fighting against a law is public perception, too.
So, in fact, that's the point, right? If book banning succeeds, and we've read books about this, like Fahrenheit 451, where if it succeeds, it becomes acceptable. People don't know to fight about it. So by you, I mean, this is a kind of a miraculous lawsuit. It's you, another high schooler, a little library, and then suddenly the country's biggest publishing houses are also getting involved. So this has some meat to it.
Yeah, I think it's great that Penguin and the others joined, let me join and let the others join with them. I mean, the case is stronger with us. We are the boots on the ground here in Idaho.
Well, I love that you're doing it. Thank you for doing it. Good luck. I hope to have you visit us again on the Banned Book Club. I'm not hoping that you write a book that gets banned, because that's not good. But you're a member now, and you're always welcome to join us. We'll stay very closely connected with you as this case proceeds. Jarek Edwardson is one of the student plaintiffs in the Idaho Library lawsuit.